Many people think they know the full costs until surprise fees pop up. It's kind of like college, where there's the base price of classes, then tuition, textbooks, even lab and tech fees. Let's make sure that you know the real costs before you commit, with 7 key considerations when evaluating the cost of a Pilates teacher training program. Number 1, testing out fees. Many programs charge between $200 and $500 just for the final evaluations. So definitely get clear on that, and also ask, do you need to travel? And consider travel costs for final evaluations. Sometimes centralized testing is a requirement. And what happens if maybe you weren't to pass the first time? Is there an additional cost to retake any of the evaluations? I may be old school, but I think at least for your first evaluation, it should be included in the overall program cost. And a delineation here is, if you wanted to pursue becoming nationally certified as a Pilates teacher, that would be an additional cost, because the pathway is you take a program that meets the minimum requirements for that exam, you earn your certificate of completion, and then you can take that certifying exam, and that's not coordinated by individual Pilates training centers. Number 2, experiential learning costs. As integral as these are for any Pilates teacher training program, this can really add up. And it includes, are there fees for observation hours? Do you need to pay additional money for group classes or for private sessions? Now, most of the time, private sessions won't be included in the cost of a teacher training program, because that's really individual. It's my recommendation, take at least one during your teacher training program, if not a few. That way you get really personalized guidance as a mover of Pilates, which can really help you then as you teach. And especially if you're wanting to teach one-on-one, then having that experience as a client, as a student, is incredible. Ask, is there a discounted rate either for group classes that you need to attend or for private sessions? Many facilities will offer a slightly discounted rate for people currently going through their teacher training program. But because this can account for hundreds of dollars of an additional expense, it's one of the reasons why that we have a resource bank for observation hours for our training program. And also for group classes, we've embedded that into the teacher training cohort, and you're also invited to attend our live sessions within the membership. So just take time to evaluate what the additional cost is, what are the overall hours that you need, and that can be incredibly helpful. Number 3, tiered program structure. This is when you're evaluating different programs and you realize, well, this one is going to be quicker and it seems much more inexpensive. But then you read a little bit more and you realize, oh, $500 for foundational level certificate of completion. And then you have to pay another $500 for level 1 and then level 2. And you just keep paying more and more money. And then all of a sudden, what seemed like a really good investment is now overpriced. I've also found this isn't really a helpful way to learn, because you may earn your certificate of completion and yet you're not getting into all the exercises that can be so helpful for teaching a class, even a beginner level class. As an example, a traditional Pilates push-up is considered advanced, but we can teach with alternatives for a beginner class or someone who's brand new, whether it's elevated push-up or on knees. And so knowing the full breadth of the Pilates method is incredibly helpful in this way, rather than this piecemealed approach, which I found for a lot of people, they just feel underprepared. Number 4, re-enrollment or extension fees. So I know when you're thinking about teacher training program, you want to get started and you have an end date in mind when you're going to end and have your certificate of completion in hand. And that is the case for most people who have gone through our teacher training program. But sometimes life throws you a curveball and you may have to do things differently. So if you can't complete the program when you had anticipated, what are the options? Some teacher training programs may require you to go through the entire process again at the same investment, meaning it's going to, in essence, be double the cost. Other programs like ours offer a deferral option at a much reduced rate, Or can you delay an element or two and not have any additional fees? These are all considerations that are really important. Even if you don't expect things to go wonky, sometimes they do, and they want you to be prepared. Number 5, additional equipment. Are there any required pieces of equipment that you're going to need to practice with? Part of a Pilates teacher training program is not only are you taking classes, but you're fostering your self-practice. So Trifecta Pilates, we have a requirement that everyone has a Pilates magic circle. This is also my suggestion for you. Even if you're not going to be enrolling in our program, a Pilates magic circle is a traditional piece of equipment. Practicing with this more during your self-practice is really helpful. Then you can more easily integrate this into how you're teaching Pilates. So ask, are there any additional pieces of equipment that you need to invest in? Number 6, required materials. This can range from manuals that Pilates teacher training programs have created themselves to textbooks. Even doing a program that's all in person, many times there's an online resource library of some kind, and sometimes there's an additional fee for that. I wish this wasn't the case because it's just part of the overall program. So just worth asking what maybe is included, like at Trifecta Pilates. Our manual is included as downloadable PDFs for you, but what's not included is the required reading of Joseph Pilates' book, Return to Life. Now, even if you aren't pursuing a program where this is a requirement, I highly recommend it. That's because when I was going through my teacher training program, we didn't have to read this. I read it after I was a Pilates teacher, and it would have been really helpful during my teacher training program. It's a book that I continue to reference back even over 20 years of teaching, and your cover may look different because this book is over 20 years old, and it's just such a wealth of knowledge, tapping us into the original expression of the traditional mat exercises. And if you're wanting to get started kind of preparing for teacher training, I think reading this book is incredibly helpful. Number 7, training type affects the costs. So typically it starts with the Pilates mat teacher training program, about 100 hours. And what's beautiful about a Pilates mat teacher training program, you can take a deep dive into the mat work. But then you'll see reformer and comprehensive, more hours, which means more time and money. And sometimes people think, well, if I'm spending more time and money in a program, I'm going to make more money. And personally, I haven't found that to be the case. That once I started exclusively teaching Pilates mat classes, not only have I made more money, but I've just tapped into my passion. So I encourage you, when you're evaluating Pilates teacher training programs, focus not only on the costs, but what aligns with your goals. When you consider the cost, it's not just about finding the lowest cost option, because sometimes those programs are not going to prepare you to teach. You're maybe not going to be getting personalized feedback along the way, which is really important, or there's a whole bunch of add-ons, and what seemed like a really good deal in the long run ends up being more expensive. You also want to ensure that the teacher training program that you're pursuing would qualify you to take the certification exam. So ask questions. What's included? What's not? Because the base price may not be the full price. When it comes to pricing, are you having to invest in taking classes, in testing out, or additional resources? What's the enrollment cost? And is there a payment plan available? All of this can really help you be more clear on the overall costs and experience of a teacher training program so you enroll with more confidence. Now, when you're going through this, you're going to be investing so much, your time, energy, and money as well. So your next question may be, is this worth it? And that's what we'll be getting into in this next video.